What's up, guys? Welcome back to the new and improved PWTB. I'm here with Evan, and he'll give you a quick explanation in 1 minute about why we're new and improved. Evan, I'll throw it over to you.
So yeah, why we're new and improved. I mean, we're gonna do a full show just straight through, like kind of like a regular podcast feel. I know we've tried a lot of different ways in the past. You'll see the clips. You'll probably still see some highlight clips, but every time we record, it's gonna be a full show. And we're ready and we'll see how this goes. Jake, welcome back. First time since February. How's it feel to be back on?
Yeah, man, it feels really good. I've missed it. But I'm really excited to get into today, and we'll see what happens, man. All right. So, Evan, the first thing I want to talk about is the Marlins going 0-8 to start the year this year. Pitching wise, I think starting pitching, I think we're doing pretty good. But I, I just can't get over our bullpen, man. Our bullpen sucks. They come in and they blow games, man.
So what I would need to hear is like, first of all, for the Marlins, I think they overplayed a little bit last year. I'm not. Well, I'm gonna let Jake respond to that. I think the Marlins are a good team. They made the playoffs last year. Obviously, the Phillies beat them in the wild card round. I think they overplayed. I think Jorge Soler was an underrated piece on that team. He had how many home runs did Soler hit last year? Like roughly.
I'm not sure about that. I think
I
like
think
30.
Yeah, 30 something, which is a big deal to a team. Yes, our home runs, the great stat. No, not necessarily batting average, on base percentage, etc. But he was a big part of that team in the top of the lineup. The lineup is made up of a lot of castaways, and I'm allowed to say that because there's three White Sox castaways in there: Avi Garcia, Jake Berger, and Tim Anderson, who are actually all not bad players. But let's call it like it is. They're not corner centerpieces either. And then to be fair to the Marlins, the pitching has been a little unlucky. Obviously, Sandy Alcantara is out all of 2024. And now we just found out Yuri Perez is going to be getting Tommy John. Apparently, they're trying to gear him up to be ready for 2025. We'll see if that happens. So it's been unlucky on that front. And then Jake's going to have to tell me how inexperienced the bullpen is because the White Sox are having some of their own problems with that. But no, I just think it's all going to depend though. I mean, they've still got some pieces. But Brian De La Cruz, you've got Josh Bell. Again, a lot of free agent signings. That's going to be tough to compete in a really good division. But they should be better than 0-8. I would say that. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you have the Braves, Nationals, Phillies, and Mets in the division in the same division as you. Yeah, 0-8, it's painful. It's embarrassing to watch. I mean, mo we got Trevor Rogers on the mound today. Hopefully we can bounce back, get a win. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think. And what about that bullpen, though? Tell us a little bit about that bullpen. Is it inexperienced? Is it like experienced guys just not doing well, or what's going on there?
I mean, it's a mix of both. Anthony Benga hasn't pitched in a game since, I believe 2022. Sixto Sanchez is in that pen. Hasn't pitched in a game since
Four six
2020.
460 Sanchez. We saw him. What was that pitch number one or two? He was giving up home runs on. Yeah, he's. I mean, he's good. He's good, right? But he's got to settle in. He's looking rough. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's just gonna settle in. I think he's only appeared in like 3 games this year. He's gotta settle in though. Um, I will say about our starting rotation, AJ Puck hasn't gotten off to the start that he wants. I think that, since he was in the bullpen last year, he's not really getting used to the up and downs of starters right now yet. But I think he'll settle in as well.
Yeah, and I'm not saying the Marlins are like the Pirates or the Rockies level of talent. They have talent for sure. Even if you look at Trevor Rogers, who is towards the end of their lineup today, he still has good stuff. He still gets strikeouts. Obviously you got Luzardo at the top of the lineup too. So they're a talented team. Just sometimes when you sign a bunch of free agents and you have some talent, like they gotta mesh together well. And that's something I think we got to see with the Marlins. But anything else on Miami?
I don't got anything else on Miami, man.
So I think really related to that is the Chicago White Sox, who we knew, like most people knew. Maybe deep down in my heart, I was hoping that we would do better. But I think most people knew that we were not going to do well this year. We're 1-6. They played the Tigers well. The Tigers, they made them look really, really good. And then you go the Braves. I'm surprised we took a game from the Braves, but we did. Maybe it was the cold weather.
Yeah,
Braves aren't used to that. And then versus Kansas City, it's just been awful so far, the first two games. And again, Kansas City, you know, with Bobby Witt Jr. and their pitching is starting to come along. The fans are starting to get more into it. That stadium used to be empty. Now you've got some fans showing up. There's some excitement against with the Royals. I'm not trying to deny that. But however, at the same time, the White Sox, like, we're just like, if you watch the games, like the run seventh inning, you know, you're giving them, you know, yesterday where we were just playing well the whole time. You know, Fetty, who is in the Korean Baseball League, who was our third guy in the rotation right now, he pitched a great game yesterday. Soroka pitched a great game on Thursday. And just it's the offense, which should be the most experienced guys. You got Andrew Vaughn, you've got Yohan Moncada, you've got Luis Robert. You've got, you know, of course, Jimenez, who's now injured. And you've got Andrew Benintendi and Martin Maldonado. Bunch of experienced guys right there. You should be playing at least better. I'm not saying, I understand it's not going to be a great year for the Sox, but it's the offense that's letting us down, which it shouldn't be. But, you know, but the reason I asked with the Marlins, Jake, really quick, is because with the Marlins and their bullpen, sometimes with the young bullpen, because when the Sox were good a couple years ago, they had these high salaries on bullpen pieces. Joe Kelly, Liam Hendricks, all these guys. They paid a ton of money to them, and the bullpen still wasn't great. So sometimes it is good. I call this the Guardians way because they just take pitchers and out of nowhere and make them good. Is, you know, maybe just bring in a bunch of young guys and see if you can get a couple studs. So I hope the White Sox do that, but it's really frustrating seeing our lineup kind of going down. But from an outsider's
yeah,
perspective, how do you see the Sox right now?
yeah, definitely. I want to touch on what you said a couple minutes ago. Mike Soroka pitched a really great game the other night. Unfortunately, the bullpen came in, allowed 7 runs. I think you say in the eighth inning. Is that
Yep.
correct? Yeah,
Got that
7 1 8.
backwards. 8 runs in the seventh inning. Yep. Just as bad.
8 runs in the seventh inning. Other way around. I got you. But I think the White Sox, you know, think the White Sox need to get into a full rebuild, kind of like what the Marlins are inevitably going to do. And
You
I
think the
think
Marlins
that,
are inevitably going to be rebuild?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Who would so in a rebuild, you'd have to have like, are you just saying they tanked? Because I'm trying to think, because when the Sox rebuild, and that's just what I think about it, like they traded away all their pieces. So you trade away Sale, you trade away Adam Eaton, you trade away all these guys, right? To get young
Right.
prospects. Who would the Marlins trade away? Would they trade away Luzardo maybe? Or maybe Alcantara when he gets how do you see that going down?
Maybe Luzago. I think Sandy is going to stay in Miami. He just agreed to a deal a couple years ago. I think he still got 4 years on that deal, maybe three.
But you were
Um,
also the same team that give Giancarlo Stanton, what was that? That like 14-year, 300 million, which back at the time, now it doesn't seem like a lot, but back at the time, that was like a crazy contract. Then you traded him away. So you never know. But
yeah, that was the Jeffrey Loria Marlins.
yeah.
Um,
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
yeah. So we have new ownership since then. So,
That's true.
um, yeah. Another thing I wanted to bring up, Evan, I think was really interesting that I saw this week was the Baltimore Orioles, AAA team, the Norfolk Tides. A they have a powerful lineup, especially there at the top with Jackson Holliday, Connor Nobley, and you know, and Heston Kjerstad. I think that they can definitely. I don't know why many of those players are in the major league, but I think they can make cases to be September call-ups, and I think if not, they're staying AAA, and Norfolk will definitely go to make a deep run in the playoffs this year.
Oh, with Jackson Holiday, I mean, I heard the whole this is just a rumor, but I heard the reason they kept Holiday under is something to do with the contract. Like sometime in May, if they call up Holiday, they get to treat him like he's a rookie in 2025 in terms of pay. I don't know exactly how that works or it's arbitration or something like that. I just heard it once. And because Jackson Holiday's proven himself. Like he's
Right,
batting
yeah.
like crazy. I've heard rumors that maybe it was because he's not batting well versus lefties or something, but whatever excuse they're making, that's fine. But again, the Orioles, I mean, I guess they can afford to wait though, because they're just, they're looking like a mini Dodgers right now because they've been rebuilding they started their rebuild like 6 years ago, and now they look like a powerhouse. 101 wins last year. Looking great to start this year once again. Is Felix Bautista even playing? I don't even know. Is it because he was injured at the end of last year? Is he back yet or not?
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah, so he's not even playing yet, but the Orioles offense, which I said is good but not great, but they're really coming together. And I do think they would be great once you add Jackson Holliday to that lineup, which I do expect next month sometime. But as for the AAA team, yeah, I mean that's just an encouraging sign to see, especially for a team that, like I said, won 101 games. It shows that they're on the climb. So that's great to see for
Yeah,
them.
we're only 5 or 6 games into the AAA season, but it's definitely gonna be fun to monitor or watch for the rest of the year. Um, speaking of Jackson Holliday, his brother Ethan Holliday is going into the Major League Draft next year. I don't know if you have heard much about Ethan,
I
Evan.
actually have not. I have not because I've heard so much about Jackson Holliday, but I have not. And keep in mind, Jackson Holliday is only 20 years old, and we've already heard so much about him, and he's going to be in the big leagues this year. But I have what position's Ethan Holliday?
Ethan Holliday, I believe, is an outfielder, just like his brother.
Okay, okay. I think so. If you get maybe you can go to the Orioles. Is he a first round pick, second round pick? Where are they projecting?
Yeah, he's gonna be a first round pick.
Hey,
He's
wow, geez, wow, Matt Holliday, you were just pumping him A plus, but I mean,
probably
just
projected to be the number one overall pick.
okay, and
Um,
Cleveland has number one overall this year, right? I believe
two.
Cleveland, the Guardians, because they
As
won
of
the
right now,
lottery this year.
the Miami Marlins have the number one overall
The
pick.
Miami Marlins have the number. Okay, well, okay. So is that if that's who you take, I think that'd be so. Say if the Marlins did rebuild, that would be a good piece to maybe go to. But I want to pivot. In one more recent baseball news, which just dropped this week, is what's going on with the Oakland A's because we heard they were going to go to Las Vegas. That got finalized at the end of last year. But what actually is what is their plan? Like the stadium's not going to be built in 2028, so they can't just stay in Oakland. There's going to be like if they stay in Oakland, by the time that happens, there'll be like negative fans there. So they can't do that. But at this point, I think you see them going to Sacramento. I think that's a good choice. I mean, it'd be fun to maybe go to Nashville for a couple years or Oklahoma City for a couple years. But it makes sense. You go to Sacramento, which is not that far away. I believe like an hour or two. That stadium, the field, it seats like, and I'll have to circle back on the name for that one. It seats like 10,000 people. You can have 14,000 in total based on like the grass seats and all that, which is alarmingly low for an MLB stadium. And the smallest MLB stadium, I believe, is in Tropicana, which still seats like 35K. So that's more than twice that this one is going to. But yeah, I have more thoughts on that. Just initial thoughts on the A's going to Sacramento before they go to Vegas, Jake.
Yeah, the A's are a complete disaster right now. I think they don't have any fans to show up there. They're feeling a terrible team, and as Ariana losing to my camera. What how you doing, Ariana? Um, I just think that A's are putting a terrible party out on the field, and you know, another team that needs to enter a rebuild, but I don't know what pieces they have to trade away.
Yeah, but no, they don't really need to do a rebuild. What they need to do is get money into their pockets. And I think the MLB is going to help them. So now I hear these rumors, oh, are they actually going to be able to move to Las Vegas? Maybe they'll be stuck in Sacramento. No, they won't. Because the MLB will help out Fisher. He will get them, who's the A's owner, of course. He will get them to Vegas, whether they like it or not. And I can't see I guess a world in where that does not happen. But Sacramento will be interesting. I wonder if they're going to fill the stadium. I wonder if not. But either way, they're just going to be bad, bad, bad. And MLB is going to have to accept that for a couple of years. But I think it's a price they're worth paying. But the other thing with the A's is now that the A's are settled and Tampa Bay is settled because they're going to build a new stadium in Tampa or St. Petersburg or whatever. What is the next team MLB targets? Like they targeted the Brewers last year a little bit on the stadium. That's why I worry, which is what it doesn't make sense. Just expand, go to 32 teams. But I think they're going to try to pick on some poor teams, some poor small market teams, because they did that with the A's and they didn't learn their lesson, so they're just going to keep going. But
Yeah, I've heard rumors about a team heading to Orlando, and Ariana keeps staying in my camera. Ariana,
no, you're good.
when you got treat. Um, I think, I've heard rumors last couple of years about a team moving to Orlando. I think the MLB will target the Miami Marlins, to move up to Orlando. I think that the Marlins are in a good situation down in Miami right now. I think their attendance is low, and I also feel like that's part of putting bad team out on the field. Part
One
of
thing Miami
well,
has going for them is MLB loves that ballpark. I mean, they've held the World Baseball Classic there. They've held the All-Star break there. They've held the Futures game there. Yes, attendance is low, but I think they love that ballpark too much to ever leave. That's just my opinion, though, in Miami.
yeah, probably so. But I just feel like attendance is low, and I feel like that's part of putting the bad part down on the field. And part of where the stadium's at. I think Miami might have you know, figure out a bad location to build that stadium. And that's just my opinion, but I
You
don't
think
know.
it's bad? So I know it's a little like south of Miami. It's close to the city. Like you could see the city from the outfield. But
But
like,
yeah,
why do you think it's bad?
I just think it's like a bad location because no one really wants to drive down there.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of far. And I know the Dolphins, like they like play in like Miami Gardens, which
Yeah,
you think would be like right by Miami, but it's not. It's not even close. It's actually kind of close to Fort Lauderdale, actually. But so that's it depends. And I obviously baseball and NFL they're different stadium locations. But I think MLB they built that stadium only like 10 or so years ago. I think they're gonna stick that. I think the Marlins are for sure safe, but the A's like again, just to circle back one more time to them, I think the A's are going to they're going to be really bad, and there's nothing they can do about it for these years in Sacramento. But that might be a fun destination to go to. All right, I just wanted to talk about last night. We'll stay on sports, but we'll shift gears just a tiny bit. With Caitlin Clark last night. I
yeah.
thought she played. I think she didn't have the great points game. She scored 21 points. By the way, Iowa is going to the national championship now. I believe they did last year too, right, Jake?
I believe you are right against South Carolina.
I think yeah, they went and they lost. I'm pretty sure, but Iowa they're going back. And Caitlin Clark, she played a very like I watched the second half of the game. Was just curious to check out. I watched all of that LSU game she played where she went off. She just went crazy. She had like 40 something points. But last night she only had 6 points at halftime. They were down like 10, I believe. But she played the team player role. She did the assists. She did the passes, even not counting as assists. She spread the ball out. I believe there was I forget her name. She had 23 points. She had even more points than Caitlin Clark did last night. They did a really good job of spreading the ball out. Obviously, UConn's a very good team. But sometimes with those teams that have the star players, you could get caught up and try to completely rely on them. But Iowa did not do that. So credit. UConn's a team that likes to spread around the ball a lot. And the South Carolina, who is 37-0, by the way, they're I would assume they're actually favorites over Iowa. They like to spread around the ball a lot too. They don't have a ton of players that have crazy stat numbers. They have like five really really solid players, 4 or 5 really solid players. So that's Caitlin Clark. I believe if they're going to want to win the championship, she's probably not going to have another 40-point game. She's probably going to have to help out her Iowa teammates. But Jake, what'd you take from Caitlin Clark
Yeah,
last night?
Caitlin Clark, I think, played a really good game. She's played a really good game. She's played, she's had a really great season, and I think that, she'll definitely get number one overall in the WNBA draft.
Oh yeah,
Um,
no question. I heard the Indianapolis team has the number one overall, right?
I bel I believe so. It's in Indianapolis, I believe so.
So that will be a big addition for sure, and obviously, she's going to get TV ratings and in game ratings, and that's again, the women's sport. I know people make jokes and all that about all that, but the women's sport is really it is growing. It's growing every day. I mean, the LSU game, the Iowa game, you're talking about 12 million viewers. I mean, that's even the average primetime MLB game nowadays doesn't even get half of that. So. No, that's just great for the sport. But all right, we're gonna take a quick break. Coming back, once we get back, we've got to cover Stefon Diggs going to the Texans and much more. We'll see you when we get back. So big news in the middle of the week. By the way, welcome back. We're getting used to this transition, but big news in the middle of the week. Stefon Diggs was traded to the Houston Texans. Now we know he wanted out of Buffalo. We knew that. But the Texans is a huge match because now you give CJ Stroud, who was phenomenal last year. How phenomenal? We'll get to that in a little bit. But you give CJ Stroud, you give him Stefon Diggs, you give him Nico Collins, who had 1,200 yards last year, and then you give him Tank Dell, who was a rookie. He had about 700 yards last year, but he was a rookie. So you just have an amazing offense right there and the defense is improved. You get Danielle Hunter from the Vikings. You've got Will Anderson Jr., who was a rookie last year as well. You bring in Joe Mixon, who's been decent, but he was really good towards the beginning of his career. A lot of potential there. You've got a core. And how good CJ Stroud is, I do want to touch on that, but I'm gonna give Jake initial thoughts. What you think about Diggs to the Texans?
Yeah, I think that, it's obviously a huge move for everyone involved, on the Houston side. On the Buffalo side, I'm not so. But on the Houston side, you get, CJ Stroud, who was phenomenal last year. You get him another weapon. Hopefully try and make a deeper playoff run. As for the Buffalo Bills, though, Buffalo Bills, I think the Buffalo Bills are entering a rebuild. I think that they have no wide receiver core at this point. I think Josh Allen might be the only good player they have on offense anyway.
So the
You
Bills,
still
it's
got
going to be
James Cook,
tough
I
for
know
them
that.
to, yeah, to rebuild. You would have to start from the ground up. So that I think you're talking more about a retool, which is more common in the NFL. Rebuild's more of an MLB type term, but you have Josh Allen and he's not going anywhere. So it's not really a rebuild, but you make some good points though because the cap situation is tight for Buffalo. You lose Stefon Diggs. Who the heck is he going to throw the ball to now? I think they lost Gabe Davis too. So it's just going to be a bunch of young guys now. And but back to Houston though, CJ Stroud, he had 4,100 yards last year. He had 23 touchdown passes to 5 picks. Now 23 touchdown passes actually isn't a lot. It's not. And I know he didn't start the whole year too, so you got to keep that in mind. But I think about CJ Stroud, he played phenomenal. He's got a no question great arm. That there's no question that. But when is he going to make the huge play? Versus Cleveland in the playoffs, it was the defense picking Flacco off back-to-back times. He missed a throw in that game too, CJ Stroud. Versus the Ravens, he was MIA. He was missing. Yes, the Ravens were really good, but he was missing in action. Versus the Jets even later in the season, yes, I think he was playing that hurt. He threw like 60 yards in the entire game. So CJ Stroud has a phenomenal arm. But the people who are comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, we might just want to pump the brakes just a tiny bit.
Just a
That's
little
why
bit.
let's see this year. But he's a top 10 quarterback. I will give you that. Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely made a couple. He made a couple long throws to Nico Collins that was in I believe 75-yard touchdown passes. So that was really fun to see. And with his new addition, Stefon Diggs, that'd be fun to watch. We'll see what the Houston Texans go do this year.
Let's talk about the draft a little bit. Let's talk about the NFL draft. So Jake, your top 5 quarterbacks, not your personal opinion though. Let's get this straight. The top 5 quarterbacks you think in order are going to go in the draft. What do you think?
So I got Caleb Williams. I got J.J. McCarthy, which might be a huge surprise to a lot of people, but I'll get later about that. I think Drake May is going third overall. I think Bo Nix will be will get drafted, and I think Spencer Rattler again might be a little bit of a surprise to everyone, but I'll explain. Spencer Rattler is still an elite quarterback. He transferred from Oklahoma to South Carolina, obviously, I think a year ago, so he's only had a year to play in South Carolina. And everyone was talking about, oh, Spencer Rattler is going to fall so hard in the draft. No, he's not. Spencer Rattler is still a great quarterback. It doesn't matter where he plays, and especially with his wide receiver Xavier Legette, that helped a lot. I think if I think whatever team gets Spencer Rattler will try and keep Rattler and Legette together in the NFL.
So wait,
And
really,
now getting into JJ McCarthy, he
really
had a
quick though.
great
So you said
season.
you said you said Caleb Williams #1. You said JJ McCarthy 2. You said Jaden Daniels 3. You said right.
I
I'm
did
getting
not. I said Drake May 3.
oh Drake May 3. You said Bo Nix 4 and Spencer Rattler 5. So Jaden Daniels falls out of your top 5.
I think he does, but that
I
doesn't
think that's
exactly
crazy, but
mean that
I'm
he'll
gonna let
fall
you
out of
explain.
the first round.
Yeah, I
That doesn't exactly mean that he'll fall out of the first round. I think that, there are a lot of quarterback needy teams in the first round. And I might be wrong on my top five. Jaden Daniels might go, 3 or something like that. But I think that, you know, even though Jaden Daniels is in the top five, he won't go out of the first round. Now, getting back to J.J. McCarthy for a minute, Evan, and you know, this going number two might surprise a lot of people, but I think that, Washington's probably going to have that pick. And I think, even though J.J. McCarthy wasn't a superstar in Michigan, I think that, he makes great pocket decisions, and I think he has a good arm, actually. So I think J.J. McCarthy would be a great fit in Washington.
so I think I actually think the JJ McCarthy thing's not that crazy. I think Jaden Daniels falling out of the top 4 and Spencer Rattler being in your top 5. I think that's more crazy than JJ McCarthy. No, JJ McCarthy is rising. He has impressed throughout the draft process. I thought the combine really helped him in particular more than it did. I think it helped Penix too, but Penix, at least in the mock drafts, and sometimes in the mock drafts we don't know, but at least in the mock drafts, Penix has not. I thought Penix would be a top 3 quarterback after the combine. I thought he showed out. I thought all of his throws, the out routes, the go routes were just fantastic. But the mock drafts have not shown that. They still have Penix outside the top 5 too. But outside of Penix, JJ McCarthy's stock really rose. So him at Washington, yeah, that's a little bit of a stretch, but I think that's a good prediction, though. I think that's a solid prediction. But Jaden Daniels is gonna go in the top 5. Now as for what I see, obviously Caleb Williams is going to the Bears now. That's set in stone. With Washington at 2, I think it does get a little interesting. I think you still throw Drake May in, who I personally think is going to drop. I don't think he will go to Washington at 2. But you got Drake May, and I think you got JJ McCarthy, and you have Jaden Daniels there too. And then the same thing at 3. I just saw a mock draft today has the Patriots taking Joe Alt at 3. What do you think about that, Jake? They can't pass on a quarterback. Who's going to play quarterback?
I don't think the Patriots can pass on a first round quarterback with exactly the talent they're lacking at that position. They just got rid of Mac Jones this offseason. He obviously went to Jacksonville. They still have Bailey Zappi and they have Malik Cunningham, I believe, who's on the active roster right now, who they just signed to a 3-year deal in the offseason. I think that, they'll give Cunningham a shot. They'll probably draft, May or someone like that, a rookie quarterback, and have him. I don't know. They'll have a tough decision to make there. They'll
Yeah.
have a tough decision as to start whoever they draft or start Cunningham for a few games and see what they have on
Yeah, that's a
Cunningham.
reasonable conversation too. But like Joe Alt, I get it. Building offensive line is important as the Patriots, and I think Mayo's going to want to follow the Patriot way, so he might do that. But I just don't get that one at all. And then you'll see more of a run of quarterbacks. The Raiders, I think they may try to trade up with my Titans. You may potentially see that. The Raiders need a quarterback. I think they're going to go target someone. And then, we thought the Falcons would be in play, but obviously they signed Kirk Cousins. But then you got to look at
Right.
Denver. I heard Denver's linked to Bo Nix like crazy. So we'll
Hmm.
see how that goes. But all right, when we get back, we got to take one more break due to some poor planning with our time. So when we get back, a little more draft talk, and then we will wrap up the show with some fun more news. Stick around.
Welcome back, guys. It was just a short little break. Evan, I kind of wanted to pick up on more NFL draft talk. We were just talking about the Patriots at pick number 3. Let's talk about the Cardinals at pick number 4 and what we think they'll do. What do you think, Evan?
So obviously I've heard rumors that they would trade back. I don't really see why. Like, what do they need? So you have Kyler Murray already. Maybe you want some more defensive pieces. I think this is more an offensive draft than a defensive draft, anyways. Um, Maybe they're
Yeah.
looking at a cornerback, which will start going in the teens. But like, I think no, I think they're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. If he doesn't go earlier. I think people are sleeping on Marvin Harrison Jr. too. You talk about the Patriots maybe taking a tackle. Maybe a team, one of those quarterback teams surprises and takes Marvin Harrison. But without that and without a trade up, I think the Cardinals will take Harrison. And then 5 is interesting. The Chargers will probably, I've seen them taking a receiver. I've seen them taking a defensive tackle. I've seen them trading back with the quarterback needy team. So that's where it gets interesting. But with the Titans, my Tennessee Titans, it gets really interesting. What do you see with them, Jake?
Yeah. So with the Tennessee Titans, I think they'll obviously set on wide they're set on quarterback. Will Levis, quarterback of the future for Tennessee. I think that Tennessee will definitely target a wide receiver with their first round pick, whether that be, trading up for Marvin Harrison Jr. or waiting back and maybe drafting a wide receiver like Xavier Worthy from Texas or either Xavier Legette from South Carolina. So we'll see what happens with that.
So this is interesting. I completely disagree because you have it, but I understand. So if you get Marvin Harrison Jr. somehow, I would understand that, right? Because I think
Yeah.
he's a generational player. If you have to trade up, or no way he's falling to 7, but if you have to trade up or whatever, but you already have DeAndre Hopkins, who you might not have for much longer. He's getting older, and you just signed Calvin Ridley, but you also, you need multiple receivers, right? So Calvin Ridley, you just signed him, and you want to give Will Levis, or if it's not Will Levis after 2024, whoever has the most, the best chance possible, right, to create an offense in Nashville. But I think right now for your second year quarterback, you got to take the giant 6'7" tackle from Notre Dame. You have to take Joe Alt. I think he's proven himself as the best lineman, and that's what the Titans did last time they got really good. They drafted Taylor Lewan in 2014, tackle. You draft Jack Conklin in 2016, tackle. That was the famous draft where Laramie Tunsil slid all the way to the Dolphins after he did some fun activities. We won't go into that. You guys can look that up if you're curious about that one. But Laramie Tunsil 2016 draft. Go ahead, look that one up. But that's what the Titans did last time. They got a bunch of offensive linemen. They signed Ben Jones, and I want to see them do that again. They need to build the line, so they got to take Conklin or maybe trade back if they get a boatload for it. Watch the Raiders. I'm saying watch the Raiders in this draft for sure. But let's talk about really quick some of the other quarterbacks like Michael Penix, Bo Nix. Guys who probably won't be the top 3 quarterbacks. Where do you kind of see them falling, Jake?
Bo Nix is definitely a first round quarterback. I
No
think Bo
question.
Nix has proven himself, cemented himself into a first round quarterback. No, because overall, I think there are going to be 5 or 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round. And speaking of teams that need, and because teams that need quarterbacks they obviously have picks in the first round. So, speaking of Michael Penix, though, I think he might be an early to middle second round pick.
That would be a fall for him, I think. That would be a major fall because I think especially with the pro which is why I think maybe he's a late first round pick at worst, but I think he has such a good draft process great draft process. Yes, I know he didn't play great for Michigan, but you could see the throwing and the talent. That's a steal if someone
He
gets him.
was also playing hurt against Michigan, though.
Yeah, he was playing hurt too. So
Kind of
that's
got to factor that in.
That's a steal if he gets way back. But then the middle of the first round is where it gets interesting, just to finish this up, because you're going to see a run of cornerbacks too. I think Quinion Mitchell, or Quinion, I forget how you say that, from Toledo, he's proven himself really good. And then there's some other cornerbacks. The tackles will start coming too. There's the big guy from Georgia. There's J.C. Latham from Alabama. Where are those guys going to go? So cornerbacks and the offensive linemen, I'm really curious to see after the run of quarterbacks goes early, how that one kind of shakes out.
So Evan, there's two more things that I want to bring up on this NFL draft coverage. First of all, what do you see my Dolphins doing at pick 20, number 26?
So I just saw something with them getting Kool-Aid McKinstry, the cornerback, I believe, from Alabama. That would be interesting. Defensive back was for sure a problem for them last year. Jalen Ramsey's getting a little bit older. Xavier Howard was not as much of a picture as he's
Well,
been.
Xavier's gone. He's not in Miami
Yeah,
anymore.
I'm aware, but like I'm just saying, last
Yeah.
year it was a problem for them, and they got to get better. So I definitely could see them getting cornerback. I don't think receivers a need. I think you still got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. That'd be a waste of a pick for them to go receiver. I see cornerback, maybe an offensive tackle. Um,
Yeah, I think offensive tackle, I think definitely can name one. I think from Oregon, Jackson Powers Johnson, I think he's definitely a top five offensive lineman in this draft.
yeah, I think, and just to close that out, one more thing on the draft. Xavier Worthy, the guy who just ran the 4.21, is he a first round pick or is he going to slide? We're
Yes,
going to bite on him.
yes. First round pick. Yes.
I think he. What if he goes to the Chiefs? Oh man, at 30, I just
Oh,
saw that in the
jeez.
draft. So Xavier Worthy ran a 4.21. The Chiefs, what have they been lacking? Speed, and they get another Tyreek Hill. That
Oh, Lord.
and again, well, let's give credit to Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's a phenomenal athlete. He's great at catching. He's not only speed, but I mean, you get what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
that would be a crazy steal. Um,
So, just one more thing I wanted to put on the NFL draft. Who is your best offensive prospect in the draft, Evan? And who's your best defensive prospect in the draft?
Best offensive prospect in the draft is Marvin Harrison Jr. Better than Caleb Williams, better than anybody. I don't throw, you hear this every year. Oh my gosh, a generational talent. People were even saying it last year for Bryce Young, which I'm not trying to be mean to Bryce Young. He can improve this year, but they throw around that term so easily. But I mean it. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a generational talent. I think he's going to do really well. And then as for defense, this is going to be an offensive stack. Like defense, the Chargers might go defense at 5, but other than that, this is not going to be a defensive heavy bag. I really, really love Quinion Mitchell out of Toledo. I think he could be a lockdown corner, maybe something similar to Sauce Gardner. He went to Toledo, a MAC school. He wasn't known, but in the Senior Bowl, in the just all the draft process, he's looked locked down. It's a little bit of a stretch to say he's the best, but I'm gonna go with him at least for now.
Yeah, my offensive player is um I'm gonna go opposite of you. I'm gonna go tight end. I'm gonna go Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers has the potential, obviously, to have multiple Pro Bowls and multiple MVPs. I think you know, I've, obviously with him going to Georgia, I've had a front row seat to watch him his entire career, and I think that, he has a lot of upside to him. And as for
Brock Bowers.
defense,
I saw. Oh yeah, defense. Really quick, I saw Brock Bowers marked to Denver. That'd be an interesting one, but I think they need a quarterback. But
I saw him going to the New York Giants potentially.
that'd be a good one.
Yeah, so as for my defense, I think is cornerback number one in this draft, I think. Kool-Aid McKinstry. Um really good defensive back out of Alabama. I think that he can definitely take it.
I've seen him mocked as the fourth cornerback in the draft, but I believe you on his talent. I think the cornerback's going to be interesting because once the quarterback run goes, that's where it's going to, you have the receivers too. It's going to be interesting where them go. But there's going to be a really interesting cornerback run later in the draft that we haven't seen in a while. But all right, so I wanted to talk about something off sports for a little bit. But I took a poll when we were still doing our Instagram. I took a poll about Andrew Tate, right? And I believe it was, do you have a favorable opinion of him or an unfavorable opinion of him? And I think it was like 37% favorable, 63% unfavorable, something like that. But I just wanted to explain, on least on my end, what I feel about that. And I don't want to get in the allegations. I think the allegations are, we're going to let that play out. We'll let the courts play out. I know in Romania they've had some issues, and he might be going to the UK. So we're not lawyers here. We're just talk show hosts. So we'll let that play itself out. But as for, is he good or bad? Again, I think he's a very, where he tricks people is he's a very motivational speaker, right? And I would say that he has a way about him. He has a way with words. He doesn't say like Evan does. He doesn't. You get what I. But he's very
Doesn't say,
direct.
like Jake does.
Yes, he doesn't. Yeah, no, he doesn't have these fill-in words that we do. So he's a very good speaker. He's very published. For a kickboxer, you wouldn't expect that. But he's made it. He's made plenty of money. I like, it's funny. You always got to take one with a grain of salt when people say, well, they're just rich. They made it from when they owned it. So say if you have $1 million to start, but then you invested in something and you make a company like he has, or a podcast, and you turn it into something ginormous, that's not just luck. That's knowing the markets, that's knowing your audience. That's a businessman right there. And I know he's not, well, he was partly from America, but that's the American dream. That's just the economic dream right there. So you give credit to that. My problem is he talks about he calls the, getting a job, going to college. He calls that the matrix. I'm sure you guys have heard about that, which I have some, yeah, that's fine. But you have to have an outside the mind thinking box like Andrew Tate. And I know he said some stuff about women too in traditional roles. It's, he's created his life. It's not something everybody follows. It's not something, like, some people are more suited to do that 9 to 5. So again, if you like them, that's fine. But now there's this pressure, I think, against young people that I've heard, to just be that outsider. And I don't know if everyone has that outsider in them. So I think, sometimes you got to watch those videos for entertainment. And then maybe, again, like I said, he's a motivational speaker, so maybe you can pick up some stuff. But Jake, any thoughts quick?
Yeah, I think that Andrew Tate, I think he might get a lot of hate for, what he does. And I think that some of it's warranted, some of it's, however, not. Um, he definitely has some problems here in Romania. I think that he's definitely said some things in the past that, people may not like him because of it. But I think, you know, you can't deny that Andrew Tate is a very successful man. He built his business from the ground up. And, that's something that all Americans need to be, um, you know, inspired for.
Yeah, no.
Sorry. Hello.
Listen, if he's convicted, then we don't celebrate him anymore. We let that happen. But if he's not, hey, call him out on the bad things he says. If he says something too far about women, call him out. But, just the constant hating kind of proves his point, that he's very successful. So I understand. I heard in the UK, by the way, they're like saying they're trying to program young, or not program, but like tell young guys, like, do not follow this guy's advice. That's just going to push them further and further away. You just have, it's so easy to say you're against something. I'm against Andrew Tate. But what are you for? So if they can give that vision for what they're for, then that's fine. But otherwise, to me, he's just a successful guy who says some controversial things. But when you have that money, you can't. So, all right, that is that. I want to get into the Dodgers a little bit, Jake. So
Yeah,
let's talk
let's
about
do it.
expectations. What are your expectations for the Dodgers in 2024?
So my expectations is Mookie Betts to have a 200 hit season. I think the Dodgers are definitely gonna make a deep run in the playoffs.
No money on that,
Um,
by the way, right? No money on that, of course, but
no money on that. Speaking of Mookie Betts, though, file. Let's talk about his offensive explosion start to the season. I think he's batting like 467 right now.
yeah, he was batting 600 for a while too. I
It
think
was.
Mookie Betts is like, that lineup is so stacked. It's a little weaker on the bottom end with Gavin Lux and all them, and Outman, and they're kind of coming together a little bit too.
Even Teoscar Hernandez hasn't got off to a great start since being acquired from the Toronto Blue Jays, but he still got 156 games or 155 games to
Yeah, and they have him batting
go.
like
So
six because they clearly think he's going to start performing a little better too. But
yeah,
you have Max Muncy in the middle. You have
maybe
Ohtani
maybe
at
move up in that lineup a little bit.
yeah, you have Ohtani at number two. You have just which is I actually like that setting for Ohtani. I think you want to get him out early, and some people might want to put him at the cleanup, but I like him at number two. But I think the expectation is we're going to see how the pitching goes. Obviously, they've had some injuries there. Clayton Kershaw's older now. Who was out for the season last year? Was it Goslin? Who's done now?
Believe it was, yes.
Who was doing phenomenal last year. But with the Dodgers
Yeah.
as next man up, they always have next man up. But we've seen some pitching problems like yesterday, for example, versus the Cubs, 9-7 loss. Offense still does good, but not good enough.
Yeah, Bobby Miller again pitched well in, his 1 2/3 innings. So
So obviously, the goal with the Dodgers, you have to get a ring with Ohtani. You with Ohtani, honestly, I might as go far to say is you have to build even a mini dynasty with Ohtani. You got to get 2 to 3 wins with him.
so yeah. So let's get into Shohei Ohtani for a minute, man.
Yeah, so with Ohtani, right, because he's not pitching this year. He's just batting. So you think he'd do better. My predictions he'd do a little bit worse. But we'll see on
Yeah.
that. But that's what I'm saying, Jake. With Ohtani, you have to win multiple rings. But this year, I would say the goal for 2024, you just have to go further in the playoffs. You have to show that you're not a pretender. Last year, they were a pretender, getting swept by the Diamondbacks, who, yes, I understand went to the World Series, but still, they're your little brother. They won 84 games, and they come in and sweep you. So with the Dodgers, just keep stunning that regular season. I may even see if they can get 110 wins. We'll see about that. But you have to show that you don't have to win it all this year in the Ohtani era, but you have to be contenders. You have to win the division series, I think, and at least be contenders throughout the rest of the playoffs. That's how you got to start. Otherwise, you're gonna get the choking reputation, and sometimes you never lose it once you get that.
Yeah, exactly, man. So, I want to kind of get into the Shohei Ohtani gambling
Oh, yeah,
situation.
let's talk about the gambling a little bit. Yeah, so that situation is just really weird. So the guy, apparently they're really good friends, but he was Ohtani's translator for 6 years. Apparently, he uses his money to gamble. Somehow, Ohtani doesn't know what's going on. We'll get to that. And then apparently he went to University of Irvine in California, but apparently I forget if that's the exact school he went to, and then he graduated in 2007, the translator, but apparently the school has no record of him. Really, really weird situation that maybe we'll get some more details in, especially if it goes criminal. But yeah, what pops your eyes out on that one, Jake?
Yeah, this situation is just very weird to me. I just have, the two questions that I think everybody has. Why does your translator have access to your bank account is number one. And why, why are you $4.5 million in debt? I don't get that either.
Well, when you're that rich, sometimes you're like, well, I just got my rich buddy, so I can bet 1 million. And if you lose 1 million, it's like, well, I got to give that back. Oh, what's 1 million to Ohtani? I'll bet another 1 million. So that's how it could go sometimes. Or you lose 1 million, and it's more likely not like he says sports betting, but when you lose 4.5 million, what that really is you go to Las Vegas or the casino and you're that rich and you spread it out all over. You spread it out in the slot machines, you spread it out in blackjack, loss after loss after loss, and that's how that could work. But with the bank
Yeah, we
account,
know.
Jake, to answer your question really quick, with the bank account, exactly that is Ohtani's taking a fall. He's clearly taking a fall for his brother. And again, or not as, like his brother, his friend, like in terms of speak, but like he's clearly taking a fall from him. I can't see how you could see that any other way. And I'm not calling Ohtani a bad guy for that too. It's just we got to learn more information. And I don't know. Do you think they owe it to MLB? Do you think they owe it to the fans to like, it's their responsibility? We need to learn what's going on with this contract, or is it kind of personal business?
Yeah, we need to learn what's going on. We need to know if Shohei Ohtani is going to be suspended or if he's not going to be, if he's cleared, and just get back to playing baseball.
Yeah, because contracts and stuff. Contracts are contracts for sure. All right. We're gonna get to wrapping up the show, but just want to give a speed round of some topics. So Jake, I learned or not I learned, but I'm curious which one you think on this one. I know the answer. I want to see. So, say you're in Florida, you're in Orlando, right? And you're just driving along a road and an alligator comes out. Not driving, you're walking, you're on feet, right? And an
Mhm.
alligator comes out. It's 10 feet away from you. Should you either A, run in a straight line or B, run in a zigzag, maybe try tricking them out? What do you think?
You wouldn't be because so alligator speeds they can't run zigzag. I've learned that a little while ago.
So I think it's the opposite. That's what I just read, and you can push back if you want. What I just read is what you would think is you run zigzag, so maybe they can't see or maybe they can't hear, or they lose like their brain's not as like functioning as ours, so maybe they lose focus. But what I actually saw is that they, because alligators are territorial, right? I learned that. So if you're not in their territory, they won't bother you. And
Right.
alligators only sprint on land for short amounts of time. So they can sprint really fast, but it's only for like 5 seconds and then they'll stop. So the idea is to get as far away as possible. You could run zigzag, but it's not the best thing because they're not there. You're still in their territory if you're going side to side. But if you run straight away, they might chase you, but you should be able to get away. So I just learned that one. And I would have thought the zigzag too, but that's interesting. So and
Okay, so I
always be
guess the
safe.
thing tidbit about that. On land, I feel like if you run either way, you should be good. I feel like if you're in water and you're trying to run away from an alligator, I don't think you're gonna make it.
At that point, first of all, do not get in the water with with potential alligators. But if for some reason that did happen, never do that. But if for some reason
No.
that did happen, you got to fight back at that point. You're fighting for your life, and like because those
Yeah.
alligators, you know how like people say like sharks are afraid of you, or like bears might be afraid. Alligators are not afraid of you. They know
Yeah,
that.
because even if you run in like a straight line or even if you run in a zigzag, alligators know the water. They can run however they want. They
Well,
can
if you're in the
chase you
water though,
however
at
they
that
want.
point, yeah, at that point you wouldn't be running. But you kick him in the eye, kick him down his throat, get him to release you. But before I just wanted to talk about the land. Before the water, do not get in water where you think there's alligators are. And if so, Lord have mercy on you. But anyways, uh, so what about the eclipse, Jake? Are you excited for this big eclipse? What, April 8th? I've been hearing left and right about it, but I'm not even going to be able to see it because apparently, I'm in school right now in North Dakota. It's going to go like through like New York, through Ohio to Texas. So I don't think either of us are even going to see much of it. But
Hey, I'm not gonna see much of it because I'm gonna be inside. I'm gonna be working all day.
he's going to be watching.
But it it would be pretty awesome to see a total solar eclipse. Um, I'm sad that I'm not gonna be able to see it.
I believe it's middle of the day, right? Like it's supposed to come down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
it's like
believe
I
you're
think it's
right.
like 3 o'clock in Texas and like 2 o'clock in Ohio or something like that. I don't know. But if you are able to see the solar eclipse, and I don't know how that works, but if you could take pictures of your group or whatever, just go have a fun time. I'll just look on the internet for stuff about it. But
Yeah, yeah, me
anyway,
too, me too.
last thing, Rays and Rockies yesterday. Ryan McMahon walked off in the ninth inning. It was 6-2 going into the ninth. The Rays scored 5 runs. It looks like holy crap, the Rockies are about to blow it again. But Ryan McMahon saves the day. Walk off grand
Walk
slam in Colorado.
off,
What do you think about that? What do you think about
walk
that?
off grand slam. Yes. Walk off grand slams are the best, and yeah, they're really fun to watch, and
Maybe it could spring together Colorado because most people have them as a bottom three, but that's an exciting win for them and
yeah.
exciting for the fan base. And I loved Coors Field when I went there. So just home
So
run.
just one thing I want to get into before we wrap up the podcast today, the NHL playoffs because we know the Stanley Cup playoffs are starting in a couple weeks. 77 games have been played so far in the NHL season. 5 more games left. I just want to kind of see where you're sitting at, Evan. Who do you think are contenders, and who do you think are pretenders between the teams who have clinched the playoff berth already?
I will just say I'm curious to see what Florida does this year. So obviously Vegas won last year, but Florida Panthers, they had a really good 2022, of course. They had the best record in NHL. and then you have that series versus the Lightning. Last year you go all the way and then lose to Vegas. Is this the year they piece it all together, Jake? You're gonna have to show me that one, but I'm excited to see what the Florida Panthers do. Yeah.
Might be, man, but we'll definitely see as the Stanley Cup playoffs gets closer. We'll see what happens. As of right now, the Boston Bruins are tied with the Dallas Stars for the best record in the NFL. At 105 points. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, for sure. But well, it was fun doing our first episode all the way through. I think it went well. And if you think it went well, be able to just share a nice comment in the comments, maybe. But what I will say is that we will see you next time. And by the way, episodes are every Saturday. We don't always record on Saturdays, but if they are, episodes are released on Saturdays. So that's where you got to be on the lookout. But Jake, anything before we go?
Yeah, just drop a follow, guys. Drop a like, drop a subscription. You know, just subscribe. And we'll see you guys next week.
See you next time.